britches up.
Yeah. 2 yoga classes and I've already lost 9 pounds. That's how it feels. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm skinnier, and I have no idea if I actually am, because I don't even have, a bathroom scale, but, on a psychosomatic level, the yoga is really,
it's
changing.
just working?
Yeah.
Excellent, right on.
So.
Well, you seem more
enlightened,
lifted, a little more balanced.
I seem more zen than when you last saw me.
I mean, well, the incense in here is really hard to breathe through.
X-rated, coming to you by candlelight.
I did have to ask you to turn off the tambura music, just because it would have gotten on the podcast. It'd be hard to edit around.
That's that guy from Arrested Development, right? Jeffrey Tambora.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't realize he had an album.
Welcome to X-Rated, fair listeners.
A podcast by 2 guys who dated for a couple of weeks about 10 years ago.
And now we have a tenuous relationship based on movies and podcasting.
Yeah.
Grip it, fingers. That's the last flanges holding on to the rock face there.
Flanges. That's your word of the day from our Universal Soldier podcast.
Indeed. Ding, ding, ding.
For long-time listeners out there.
I learned lots from this podcast.
Like how big some movie Wikipedia pages are.
Indeed. They can be real long. Real long. I wanted to jaw with you a little bit.
Sure.
Regarding our Trump
jaw
biopic.
sesh.
This is going to sound dated now when this podcast actually comes out, but recently, there was that information about there's all this wiretapping shit going on.
Cameras in the microwaves and whatnot.
Yeah, well, the microwave thing was what got me going, and I was thinking we could really do a good scene with this in the head space and have it be, The Rock, since we are going to have him say
Dwayne
something,
Johnson,
along the lines of, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" And then do his eyebrow thing, but then slowly turn to the microwave. And we can have a slow, Lynchian zoom in on it. And then it's sort of like the Lady in the Radiator situation, but instead it's Gene Hackman, all of the conversation.
Well, I was thinking that I'm thinking from the Trump point of view, it should be all microwave cameras. And just the thing is that Trump has microwaves in every room.
No wonder he's paranoid.
Yeah, that's his Achilles heel. If you've cracked the microwave, you've gotten into his inner sanctum.
Do you think it's just because when he has a frozen burrito craving, he's got to have it now?
You open up the drawers in the White House, the Oval Office desk, and there's a little Funcooker in there.
It's going to make such a mess.
Well, previous presidents kept, paperwork and things in there. He just keeps his... One drawer's got the microwave, the other one's got the frozen burritos.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad that's coming along. I also wanted to see... I don't know if we've talked about this, but have we thought of anybody yet for a Paul Ryan or a Mitch McConnell? Kind of a gruesome twosome of Congress?
No, I have not. I mean, I was thinking of just going to my local zoo and getting a turtle from Mitch McConnell. But I'm open to suggestions. Say human actors. Yeah. That's fine too.
Well, no, I like this animal track you're going on, but I was picturing more like animal parts, like a bleeding horse anus or something.
Does it have to be bleeding?
I don't know. I just really feel like I want the audience to feel what I feel towards him.
Oh, okay. Now, is it bloody because of violence? Is this is this horse anus prolapsed? Is it bloody because of friction and overuse? Calloused, if you will?
Well,
blistered?
I was kind of picturing it just as severed and on its own, just kind of sitting on the floor. And I mean, possibly we could draw some eyes
bloody
on
from
it.
Surgical purposes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if we must, we can cauterize it and keep it to a minimum.
That poor horse.
Yeah. Well, let's assume it was an already dead horse.
This was like a glue horse.
Yeah. Racing horse that broke its leg and it's done for anyway. So it's rough.
All right, I'll do this, but only if it's Seabiscuit.
Okay. I actually know Seabiscuit's agent. We'll see if he's available.
Available to die.
Or donate his anus.
Oof, I've been on that waiting list for a while.
I'm sorry I started the podcast this way.
This took a dark turn.
This is just what I was thinking of on my bike ride over here. Like,
X-rated movies and horse anus.
now with 100% more horse anus. Put that on.
100% more. I'm thinking only like 75% more. We already had a little.
Yeah, I guess a lot of that hit the cutting room floor. Save that for the bonus episode. Matt, please pull me off my own sword here.
I was gonna say, what do we come here tonight to do? This is what happens when I give you creative control over the talking points. Let's see, I watched anime called The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Oh, okay.
It was actually surprisingly good for having such a stupid title.
Probably something lost in translation.
Maybe. I mean, she does leap, and it is through time.
Oh, well.
I mean, it's... If something was lost in translation, it's still a very literal title, because, she runs and jumps, and when she does it fast enough, she goes back in time a little bit. As far as time travel movies go, it was pretty tight.
Oh.
You know, a lot of time travel movies, it was closer to Time Crimes than, say, Back to the Future or something like that.
Excellent, okay.
Where, she goes back, a couple minutes, couple hours, maybe a day, I think is like the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
And, she basically just gives herself a bunch of do-overs, like she's a high school girl. And she's like, I flunked this quiz, and, went back and, now I got 100.
Oh, nice.
And then she does it, if she says something stupid in front of a boy, she, goes back and, does it over again.
Oh, okay.
But the running theme, or not the running theme, but sort of one of the conflicts that arises when everything's going right for her, that might mean that things are going wrong for other people.
I see.
And so there's these
Things are out of
unintended
balance.
consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually, the way that it kind of, grows bigger and bigger. And I don't know, it still felt like it was very tightly knit. The story was very logical and really pulled itself together and didn't, go off the rails despite how big it was.
Cool.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it. Well, did you watch anything outside the assignment?
I rewatched Fallen Angels.
Oh!
Which was one from our original challenge.
From our origins, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've watched it since then.
It is stylistically very, very strong.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that. And what's his name? Takashi Kaneshiro? I don't know if I got his name right. The mute one.
Oh my god, he's so cute.
Yeah.
He has that shirt at one point that says mother figure, and it's a picture of a punk rock girl with a mohawk.
Okay.
It's a yellow and maroon ringer. It's so tight and cute. Oh man, I'd forgotten about that. But it's great. Yeah, okay. I almost like it better than Chungking Express.
I like Chungking Express, but I don't see why that's the one that Wong Kar-wai fans cling on to. I feel like he's got stronger films than that.
Yeah, because this one came right after that, and I feel like it's almost a stronger film.
I definitely feel that way. Yeah.
It's just really well. It's a great example of style working for the material.
Yeah.
It gets a little cheesy at points, but that's just a product of its time, and he was still kind of green then. But it's good. Definitely recommend it. God, would I ever.
All right.
Man. This week we watched Cowards Bend the Knee, which is a 2003 film by Guy Maddin. Originally, it was commissioned for an art show.
Which, I just found out this time around, even though I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
And so, trigger warning, this is an art house film, I would say. I don't know if that...
Is that trigger-worthy? Were
don't
people abused by art house films at some point in their childhood?
I just don't want someone to, get 10 minutes into this analysis and be like, this sounds really arty. And then switch us off, They should do it now.
Go back to Brave Little Toaster.
So, I love Guy Maddin. I'm going to start off with that. And I think he's really a director that you either love or hate. I think most people do like him, though. I think everyone I've shown his films to has always been on board.
I do have a friend that made me turn off Saddest Music in the World because he was not having it that much.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, like I said,
yeah,
take him or leave him.
Yeah.
I happen to think he's brilliant. I really like most of what he's done.
I realized, because I watched a couple of his films over the weekend, and at the end of the weekend I realized I've now seen all his feature-length movies. He's got a million short films.
Yeah. I watched a couple of those for today.
And some of his short films are varying in quality. Did you see Nude Caboose?
No.
It's like a guy in like a train conductor's, like a portly gentleman, naked, in a train conductor's hat, like running around public spaces for 3 minutes.
In his style of silent movie?
No, it was color.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe I won't go down this rabbit hole.
Did you see Sissy Boy Slap Fight? I think it's
called.
No. The title says it all. It's pretty good, actually.
Okay.
I also watched he, along with like 9 other Canadian directors, were asked to make short films for the 2000 Toronto Film Festival.
Are you talking about Heart of the World?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the short ones that I watched over the weekend.
And that one was really great. I
liked
that one a lot.
That one's very, indicative of his style.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually one... We're not even talking about Coward's Been.
We'll get there.
So after watching that short film, I started thinking, Guy Maddin, he's known for doing movies in the style of, like, pre-sounds.
Right. Or just as sound is coming in.
Yeah. Or at least pre-talkies. Like, his movies all have music in them, but... and I started thinking, especially with that one, because it was, like, so frantic and, like, so, like, cut, da, da, da.
Yeah.
I was like, does he storyboard his movies? Or is he one of those, like, scripts just get in the way of the process, storyboards are, a weakling's tool, let's just shoot a million things and see what we have. I'm like, I really can't tell what he does.
I have no idea how he makes his movies.
He storyboards.
You're kidding.
Because I got the DVD and it had bonus features and it had the storyboard for that short film. And it was shocking how close his storyboards were to what actually came out on camera.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
But he's got a million notes that are illegible to anyone who's, not writing them. Just, this, notes and arrows pointing to different parts. But I'm like, what he storyboarded is largely what came out in that movie.
That's impressive.
So, yeah, I feel like he diligently storyboards with a whole bunch of notes.
Man.
Which you watch the movie and they're so, like, the images are so frenetic and rapid fire. You'd think that he would just,
and
pick
feels
random
kind
stuff
of
up.
like accidental almost. Like he's just sort of like, what if I mush these together? Oh, that looks great. Let's move on next. What if I move the camera this way? Like, it does not. It feels very chaotic.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Barely organized chaos in some ways.
Yeah, but I think that's just like the way that his mind works. Have you ever read anything that he's written?
No.
He's written a couple books that I didn't realize, but every now and again he'll write like a film essay.
Oh yeah, I think you told me about this.
Yeah, for like Criterion, he's written like a couple film essays, and like he even did like a top 10 where like he picked his 10 favorite Criterion films and like wrote little blurbs about them. Uh-huh. They're all great. Like, just his writing style seems very stream of conscious, but at the same time seems like very contained.
Mm-hmm.
you know, like he sat down at a typewriter and like improvised a complete thought, just all in one go. That's just how his mind works.
It's amazing, and he was actually a little bit of a late bloomer.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, because he went to college, graduated, farted around for several years, and didn't start making films until like his 30s, I think.
Gives me hope.
Yeah, he went back to school for it. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
What did he go to school for before? Do you know?
He became an accountant or something.
Hey.
Yeah, something like that, and then decided this wasn't for him, and then went back to school for film and started making films. And thankfully, he lives in Canada, where they're like, "Hey, that's an artist. We should give them money."
So what?
So this movie.
What if you had to describe the plot of this movie to someone? How would you describe it? You have so many notes.
I want to show you. So my notes for this start here. And continue to here.
Man.
So that's 3 pages of
it's gonna
smaller writing than I normally do.
It's going to take you longer to read your notes than it is to watch the movie. This movie's only like 64 minutes long.
I know. Well, and these are actually mostly just plot summaries for myself.
Oh, okay.
Because it's so dense,
yeah,
plot-wise,
yeah,
that every time I watch it, I realize I'm not sure I entirely know what happened. And I like it's almost like watching someone else's dream or having a dream of your own, where it's like you remember certain things about it, but and you can remember if it's a positive feeling or a negative feeling afterwards, but you can't pinpoint all the details because there's just so many happening all the time.
I remembered that this was about hockey, and I remembered that there was some sort of like murder or conspiracy about a murder,
right?
But that was all I really knew about this going into the rewatch. And I totally forgot that this is, AKA the Blue Hands.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I totally forgot about the hand transplant plot.
Yeah, the hands are like the main thing that's shot in the whole movie, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's constantly shots of hands doing things in different, like, grabby ways, or like, putting up against glass or crawling across ice. It's just like it's all hands all the time. If I were to describe the plot to somebody, I guess it's about a hockey player who takes his girlfriend to the abortion clinic, and while the abortion's going on, he meets another girl and leaves her, and then that girl wants him to kill her mother and her mother's lover with her dad's hands because he got killed by them. And so his hands need to be put on, but then he gets duped into the hands being put on him, and then he goes on a killing spree thinking he has killer hands. I sound crazy.
It's weird. When you watch it, it almost seems plausible.
Yeah.
It's just when it's like, the hand transplant was a fake, you're just like, oh my god, he was doing this the whole time.
Yeah, and then there's that moment later on when he finally does, when it's revealed that like, oh, these weren't your father's hands. There's like a big moment where he realizes like, oh no, I'm the one who's been killing, and the whole time I thought this was a idle hands situation.
Topical reference.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm sure that's where Guy Maddin got his inspiration for this.
I guess that one came first, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure Idle Hands was the first movie to use that plot device.
But it's just, it's the way you kind of just go along with this weird dream logic that is fun somehow.
I think it's like the end of chapter 2 when it's his father is performing the abortion on his wife?
It's his girlfriend, and it's not his father. That's the one who's performing the abortion is the teen physician.
Oh, okay, because there's the little card that says, little did he know that he was performing it on one of his own.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because they're talking about Guy Maddin, the character, performing like a heart surgery, meaning like he left his girl on the table and like ripped her heart out, basically.
Yeah, they also say like, it's really just kind of poetic, like those little cards. Like he abandoned another mother, but because it says like in chapter 1, it's like he abandons his real life mother, and then in the end of chapter 2 it says he abandoned another mother, but this is the mother of his child.
Right? Yeah,
my God, these sweet little. Which is weird because his movies aren't sad, even though like.
This is a tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, it's set up as a tragedy.
But it's, like, I never feel sad in a traditional sense.
No. I actually even laugh when he kills his best friend because of the face he makes when he dies. They do, it's the traditional, like, dead man's face with his tongue hanging out, like, ah. And it just makes me laugh every time.
This movie is equally weighted in its nudity.
That's right, we get some D.
We get some D and some B.
And some B's.
Just, because, I remember the male nudity from the first time that I watched it, but there's more than I remembered.
Yeah, it's in the first 5 minutes.
And then there's also a lot of close-up of boobs.
Yeah.
So,
We should
opportunity.
Yeah, we should mention that Guy Maddin, the character, when he goes off with the girl who wants him to murder her parents, takes him away, and she takes off her shirt, and he goes to grab her boobies, and she won't let him. And there's a prolonged sequence about this, and finally she explains it's because I won't let anyone lay a hand on me until my father's death is avenged. And so that's why he kind of even like goes. Maybe that's why he kind of goes along with the murder a little bit, because he's like, oh, I'm in love with her. Yeah. And the whole thing is premised because with him getting a knock on the head during a hockey game, so that's why he's kind of dumb and like can't figure out, leaves his girl on the abortion table and like doesn't go visit his dying mother in the hospitals because like he got a conk on the head.
There's a scene of male nudity at the end when Guy is poking the other guy in the butt in the shower, and it has this like sort of operation like buzzer. And I thought, how handy would that be in real life? Like, as, like, a tool of consent. Like, that's even better than yes means yes. If you're trying to enter something, and if they don't want it there, you get a loud, like, buzz.
Maybe even a tiny little shock.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, God, that'd be so handy. Someone changes their mind, like, oh, I'm not feeling this. Shocked out.
Sorry.
Like, that'd be a great consent tool. There'd be no confusion there.
Yeah, good point.
And if you kept trying to make it happen when they didn't want it to happen, you'd get a little jolt in your junk.
Yeah.
Or your hand, I guess, whatever is doing the prodding, but...
maybe we can start this as a product and market it as Jolt-In-Your-Junk.
That's already the name of my libido enhancer.
Oh. How's that selling, by the way?
Poorly.
Oh.
Poorly.
I'm sorry to hear that. About 5 for friends for Christmas. Thought that would...
Oh, that was you.
Well, you gave me that coupon for 5 free Jolt-In-Your-Junks. I want to go back to when you said that the title cards were really great.
Yeah.
There's a couple in here that I really like. One is silly, one is kind of serious. The silly one is when we're introduced to Meta, who's the hair parlor abortion clinic's madame, her daughter. When she's introduced, she says, Meta never eats her mother's pie. Which I feel was like, is this like a veiled sexual reference?
I mean, Guy Maddin, most of his movies have, a fair amount of anatomy in them.
Uh-huh.
His view of, like, sort of sex and sexuality, it's not erotic, but it's also not clinical.
Yeah.
It's very sort of naturalistic.
Yeah, and he doesn't shy away from things like incest and stuff. So that's why when I see this, it's like,
yeah, it could be.
Or is he just being like tongue in cheek about how silly the way people used to talk 100 years ago when this style was going on?
That definitely could be it.
There was another time when he's like cutting off when he decides the physician decides to paint his hands instead of cut him off and put her dad's hands on. It says a queer trick or something like that, and it's like definitely using a certain type of definition for that word. But I don't know. And then it like it goes later when after the mom, whatever her name is, she finally gets strangled to death by Guy Maddin, the character.
Yeah.
And then it shows her slowly eating the piece of pie, and it says, Meta chews slowly the last piece of pie baked by her mother before she died. And it's sort of like...
a little rhyme there.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because it's like, that's the last piece of pie she can ever have that her mother baked.
Yeah.
And then she's filmed differently then, too, because like her makeup doesn't have those crazy eye things. She's like bathed in light for the first time. She's not really all shadowy, so it's sort of like she's suddenly humanized in this weird way.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. This time it struck me as really, really poignant.
Huh. That must have been just one of the details that like I just took at face value and moved forward.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's like what makes this such a good movie is that you can interpret it differently every time.
I mean, because there's a lot to interpret.
Yeah, it's 60 minutes, but it's a dense 60 minutes.
Yeah, things are flying at you rapid fire. He gives you no time to really sit and absorb a scene. Like it's, I know I criticize Baz Luhrmann when he does it, but for some reason with Guy Maddin, it feels like if it didn't have the frenzied pace, it'd be missing something.
Right.
It needs to have that franticness to it.
Right. You can't move a plot along that quickly without that pace, I guess. I don't know.
I think it's also because he has so many different ideas that he kind of needs to jam them all in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, his ideas aren't just plot, but also visual. Like, I feel like he wants people to see a lot, but he doesn't want them to hang around all day to see it. I guess because this was supposed to be at, like, a gallery installation where people watched each one of the chapters through peepholes.
Right. Which made me wonder, would the music be playing then too, or are you just watching the film?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Huh. But, so like each chapter is like, 6 minutes or something like that? Which I still think is a long time to watch something through a peephole. But...
Agreed. Especially if you're watching 10 of them.
Yeah. But, so, you got just a couple minutes before you lose people's attention, so,
Oh, maybe, yeah.
He just had to... But even his normal movies are pretty rapid fire.
Yeah. That's what makes it so shocking that he storyboards this. Like, I can't believe that.
I mean, maybe he doesn't storyboard everything, but he did storyboard that short film.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like that short film was only 6 minutes long or something.
And he shot this while in pre-production for The Saddest Music in the World.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's like he's thinking about one movie and making this one. It's just like, jeez. I'm not working on that level, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because Saddest Music in the World, I still think is his most accessible movie.
I agree, but it's not as good.
It's not as good. I still like that movie a lot.
I like it too, don't get me wrong. I like pretty much everything I've seen by him, but...
Would you say this is your favorite by him?
It's tough. Yeah. I like the trilogy of his, what are they called? Like fake... Wherever there's like a Guy Maddin character. Like there's this one, Brand Upon the Brain, and My Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I like all three of those a lot, and I really like the most recent one. Forbidden Room.
Yeah, that one's my favorite, I think.
I can't believe that more people haven't talked about it. It just seems like it's so remarkable in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and what I liked about Forbidden Room is that I don't know if you've seen any of his other color movies.
I saw Careful.
Yeah, and see, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And he's got another one called Twilight of the Ice Nymphs.
With Shelley Duvall.
Yeah. And it's also just kind of like, It seems like when he works with color, like he kind of like loses his, not train of thought, but like he has to focus stuff elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, he loses a little steam, a little momentum with his color films, with the exception of Forbidden Room.
Right.
Like that one seems to just plow full steam ahead.
And color plays an important part in that movie because then it helps with setting as you're jumping through all these weird.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you what
vignettes.
Forbidden Room's about, but yeah, that one.
He uses color a little bit in this movie, and it's kind of fun whenever it happens.
It kind of goes between like blue and red.
Yeah,
but it's still black and white. It just sort of has that mask of blue tinted or red tinted.
Like he literally just put like a watercolor wash of blue over the film or something like that. My favorite use of that was when Shaky, the teen captain, comes over and calls him a coward, and then there's just like his hands come up, or Guy's hands come up, and then there's just a flash of blue real fast, and then it cuts back to black and white, and it's like end of chapter 8 or whatever it was.
What does bending the knee refer to? Do you know?
I'm assuming it has to do with the last quote that Maddin Sr. says about how the museum is a place for cowards who are hiding from being fathers and husbands.
Okay.
Because in the end, the last scene, he becomes part of the wax... God, we haven't even talked about the wax museum. The wax museum, and he's like on a bended knee. So I assumed it had something to do with that.
See,
because he's a coward, basically. He's scared of being a father.
Yeah.
Running away from mothers and...
The first time I watched it, I thought it was a hockey reference. Like, when I walked away from the film, I thought it had to do with a technique of hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I 8 years ago, I would have been like, oh, it's when you do this in hockey, but now I've forgotten. And watched it this time, I'm like, I didn't... Where'd it go?
Yeah.
Like, I thought I had it figured out.
No, and that's a funny thing. I actually watched this twice. I watched it. I watched it last night, and I watched it again today. And, because I was like, it's an hour, whatever.
Yeah.
But I got totally different feels from it both times.
Oh, yeah?
And from when I first saw it. It's just like... Okay. The first time I saw it, I was viewing it as sort of like an Electra complex where she wants to, like, murder her mother and fuck her father or something like that. Meta does. Okay. But, like, I wasn't getting that as much this time. I don't know. He based it off some, like, old plays.
Medea.
Yeah, because everyone was telling
the Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Medea legend, but it's something like she lures her own children to death in order to, like, exact revenge upon the father.
Huh. Okay.
I don't remember. Lars von Trier did a television movie of it, and it was so boring. It was like in the early 80s when he still hadn't, found his voice yet. But,
yeah.
That's the only thing that I really remember from it.
No one got their clip cut off or anything.
No, there was no female circumcision in his version.
Oh, good. Even though he's hanging this whole thing on these, like, myth frameworks.
Okay.
Like, they come through, but it just feels like a wholly original piece.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a rehash of any of the things he was talking about.
It's definitely one of those instances where, unless someone had actively pointed it out to me, I wouldn't have been able to see it myself.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the trope of, like, the body part, transplants of, getting the hands of a killer or something like that. Like, that's been used for a long time. Like, there's black and white movies that have that trope in it.
After Idle Hands.
Doors over there, Ryan. But, so, like, that's a trope, but that feels like it's sort of a classic Hollywood, murder thriller trope.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, like, a specific type of trope, necessarily.
Right.
And I don't know, it feels like he's... Guy Maddin's, he's kind of punk rock in that I feel like he would make the same type of movies no matter where he was in his life or no matter what his situation is. Like, there's no fear that Guy Maddin's gonna, like, sell out and make an Avengers movie.
No way. Can you imagine?
Which is sort of the fun part about liking Guy Maddin is that, the quality may vary on, like, his own spectrum. Like, there are movies, even more recent ones that I'm not totally for. But I know that, like, when I go to see a Guy Maddin movie, it's going to be a Guy Maddin movie. He's never going to sell out. He's never going to become commercialized.
Just one of the most unique voices working in film.
Yeah, and he doesn't give a fuck what other people are doing.
No, yeah.
He's going to make the movie that he wants to make no matter what.
Yeah.
Which is admirable,
Yeah. And again, thank God he's a Canadian where they'll throw money at him. Be like, you're special.
Because I got to think, like, how does he live? None of his movies are really commercial.
No.
So I'm always thinking to myself, I'm like, where does he get rent money?
I know he does. There was a period in the 90s before his like kind of renaissance where and by the way, after Careful, this was the next movie that he was planning on making but never made, was one that was supposed to take place in Holland about this woman who fell in love with a dike builder and with something else, and they both end up dying, and she takes their hearts and puts them into like a robotic being so she can love them both at the same time, and she can switch between which heart she wants to be controlling the robot thing at any time. But the Canadian government decided not to fund it because they said it was a lateral move for him. God, can you believe that's a lateral move?
Wow. I like that though.
Yeah. But anyway, he tried being a director for hire, and it just didn't pan out. But
I can't imagine that working out.
Yeah.
His sensibilities, like, I don't know if you could wrangle that in, make something commercial out of it. It just doesn't seem like you could.
Yeah. Guy Maddin, never a sellout.
No.
I saw, like, in these later years, he's sort of been, like, invited to be a guest teacher at a college for a year or something like that.
I could see that.
So I think he's kind of doing some of that. But, I mean, that's still, like...
Guy's got to eat.
Yeah. Maybe I need to revisit my Winnipeg and see how he got his... Because I think, doesn't he talk about that a little bit? Doesn't it show him, like, in his place where he's living at that time?
Is that really his place?
We'll see, yeah. There you go, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was always one of those things with my Winnipeg was that you don't know where fact and fiction starts and ends.
It gets semi-autobiographical.
Right. Mm-hmm. He can't be tethered to such anchors as reality for a whole movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess what I like specifically about this one is the economy of it, like telling the story in 60 minutes. It feels complete in that time.
Definitely.
It's just again well shot. He works best in 8mm. Or grainy film, 16mm. And that's what he normally does. And I don't know, it's a good litmus test for other people. It's like if you show them this as their first Guy Maddin, it's sort of like you're in or you're out.
Yeah, I mean, it's throwing someone in the deep end because saddest music in the world. I would say if you wanted to tiptoe someone in, that'd be where to start.
Or maybe just start with that short, the heart of the world.
Yeah, if you're really skeptical.
Like if you hate this, you're gonna hate everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. For whatever reason, I find his style enchanting. Mm-hmm. Like I find it just rapturous.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fisting scene?
Oh, the only thing that I really liked about that was that when. Like, it sort of implied the fisting. Yeah. It showed a hand going into, like, the cylinder of a tuba. A tuba.
Because it was, like, the whole going up to that is they're like, Grandma's music plays in the background. And then so, like, ever so often you get cuts of, like, trombones or horns or something. Yeah. And, like, you're meant to believe that, oh, this is what Grandma's music is. Yeah. But then he cuts it to a point where he's fisting the madam... and then right as that happens, that's when like a fist goes into a French horn. Yeah. And it's like, I just thought that was a really clever way of saying like...
Worthy of Hitchcock in North by Northwest when the train goes in. I was like, that is lovely visual.
Indeed, yeah. It really worked for me.
It really pushes the implication home,
I really like also his music choices. Each one gets like a classical music treatment. Specifically the last one, which is the Earl King by Schubert. Okay. Which is a story, it's like a song poem by Goethe, where it's like a child and a father are riding through the woods, and the child's like, I see something that's coming to take me, and the father's like, oh, it's just the wind, oh, it's just the leaves, and then finally, like, the child shrieks, and it's like, he's dead. Good job, Goethe. But it's like, it's just interesting that he would use that in the end when, he's like, it's a father thing, and the father's taking away his deceased girlfriend ghost.
When you talk about this movie, it sounds like such a downer. But
it
it's
sounds
really
like I'm
not.
losing my mind. But this is what happens. And it just works really well as an end song because it's kind of scary sounding and it feels climactic and it has like a frenetic energy to it that worked really well.
One thing that I like about Guy Maddin is that he really seems to, even though his mind seems very cinematic, he really seems to draw inspiration from a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Like, judging from like how he writes, it seems like he, has read some books or some poetry or both.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely listens to a lot of music because like there's classical music all over everything that he does, really. And yeah, it just seems that, and he even has like a sense of like, theatricality to him.
Yeah.
Or, that it almost seems like he's directed plays and things like that in his day.
Sure.
So even though he's primarily known for making movies, it seems like he really has like a wide breadth of inspiration.
Yeah, it said like he's written some books and he's done like art installations as well that involve film.
Yeah.
But, he's a man of many trades.
Yeah.
In the creative sphere.
Yeah, he said something once. I saw Keyhole at SIF years and years ago, and it had a Skype Q&A with him afterwards.
Oh, okay.
And it was okay. It was like from his home. And he was like unshaven and uncombed and, looked like he was still in his bathrobe. But he said something that I really liked. Someone asked him about, why does he choose, primarily black and white?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I like the aesthetic. And he goes, honestly, I feel that all films should be in black and white unless they can prove themselves otherwise.
Oh, wow.
And I've always liked that phrase. I also like black and white. Orson Welles said black and white is everybody's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I do kind of feel that modern filmmakers, don't really use color as a device or a tool. And so if movies kind of look better or if people look better in black and white, then, maybe they should be in black and white unless really they can prove themselves otherwise.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain this. This is kind of a half thought, but it really helps to kind of beam his ideas directly into your brain in a way that wouldn't work if he wasn't using this like pastiche of talkies and or pre-talkie film, because it sets a context and you know what you're getting in that like parentheses of here's where we're starting already, and then kind of working. I don't know. His films always feel like a direct beaming to my brain of what he was trying to do. I feel like I'm in his head when I see his movies a lot of times, and so like I don't know. Maybe color would distract from that, or
I mean, he talks about how he gets sort of distracted by color. Like if he's going to use like red in a finale of his movie, then he has to like make sure that like nothing else is red in the entire movie, and then it's like he has to approve wardrobe and sets and props, and he's like, if I shoot in black and white, it doesn't matter what color the couch is.
It just adds a variable that he
he doesn't like to have to think
he's
about.
probably already juggling many variables, so like you don't need to throw another one in there. I want to throw a question to you.
Okay.
Who do you think would be really great in a role in his next feature? Because I feel like there's some that work really well, or who have worked really well, and some that have are less successful.
In a Guy Maddin movie, I don't know. It's hard because it's I think Udo Kier works really well.
Oh my god, I loved that Sparks song sequence in the Forbidden Room.
Yeah.
Good. Listeners, if you're interested at all, look up the Sparks song from the Forbidden Room. It's called like Butts on the Brain or something like that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. And I think what makes Udo Kier and Isabel Rossellini is that their sense of humor is very dry. The jokes that they say, they're not, they're delivering them earnestly, very sincerely.
Yeah.
But they kind of have a cadence, sort of like Christopher Walken. Like, when he's doing something funny, it's not necessarily played for laughs.
Right.
It's just there's a certain phrasing, a certain way that his cadence. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with Isabella Rossellini, you can give her something innocuous to say, but her accent kind of makes it funny the way that it rolls out of her. And same with Udo Kier. And they both kind of have a way of holding themselves that's, that can be comical when done the right way. So, someone who would be good in a Guy Maddin movies, I feel like it would have to be, I don't know the name of the actor, but he's in a bunch of Guy Maddin films. He played, like, the abortion doctor, and...
One moment, please.
He played, like, the intro guy in Forbidden Room who's like, don't just fart in the bathtub.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go away.
Apparently he's done lots of junk. I only know him from Guy Maddin movies because he's been in a lot of them. His name's Louis Nagin.
Okay.
And he's great.
Yeah.
He has such the perfect face for a silent film. Mm-hmm. There was one specifically in this movie where just before he puts chloroform on Guy Maddin to knock him out the first time, he has this, like, looks like he smells something kind of face, but it's supposed to be, like, menacing. I don't know. It's just perfect.
Willem Dafoe might make a good
guy. Or like a Susan Sarandon.
Maybe. I think she's a little too subtle. I don't see her playing big.
I'm picturing her in like a Ms. Havisham situation. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a fun little thing I was trying to think of on the way over here.
Gina Gershon.
She came up in my brain.
Surprise, surprise. Is there a question that starts out, what actress, that would not end with Gina Gershon?
Wow, what would that be like? Acting opposite Willem Dafoe in Guy Maddin's
Killer Joe.
Who Took the Cookie? I don't know. Guy Maddin, every time I see one of his movies, I'm just so happy that he's alive and making movies in the same time that I'm alive. Yeah. Because they just always bring me a lot of joy. They always make me think, and they always give me like a creative burst. They make me feel like I can make something interesting.
Because they're sort of scrappy, and he does not work with a big budget.
Yeah. I don't think he's ever had anything more than like $2 million to make a movie.
I think Coward's Been the Knee cost $30,000 to make, and it only grossed $22.
Aww.
But I mean, you gotta remember, it showed at galleries and places where you pay what you can if it's on a Thursday.
He's definitely not going for that buck.
No, so that's what I mean. I'm like, how is he turning a profit? Like, if this movie only cost $30,000 to make, what's his cut? What's his director's fee? And then how is he making a living off of that?
I think the best way to go about this is to contact the man himself.
I bet he is the type of celebrity that responds to his own email. Like, not his own emails, but like he doesn't have like, a secretary or an assistant doing it. Something tells me like he's personally answering all emails sent to him.
I say we try guymadden@gmail.com, guy.madden@gmail.com,
gmadden at AOL.com,
Guy M 1956 whatever it was at hotmail.com. Let's just try them all. See what kind of responses we get. You ready? Are you prepared to finish the talking portion of... Wait.
As we enter the singing portion of our show?
The next portion of the show will be done in Guy Maddin style. Just frenetic cuts and classical music.
We're going to dance the rest of this podcast.
I like that we're trying new things. Yeah.
Guy would be proud.
This is the golden age of podcasting. Let's just see where we can go. I'm just going to cut what I said before and say, what are we watching next week?
Oh. I'm thinking we're going to go Earthbound after this flight into fancy.
Okay.
I'm going to do Match Point.
Oh, okay.
Because you mentioned that you hadn't seen it, which was a shocker to me. Because it was sort of a big deal back, I think in 2003, same year as Coward's Been the Knee.
All right.
So I know that you were cogent and seeing movies at the time, and you somehow missed this.
I wasn't in a coma or anything.
Yeah.
Great. I'm excited to see some Jonathan Rhys-Meyers swinging a tennis racket. I assume he's a tennis player in the movie, right?
It's called Match Point.
Okay, good. I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, that means we're going to get into some Woody Allen talk.
We're going to get provocative.
All right.
Controversial.
Get ready, everyone.
We're going to have the most bland milquetoast podcast. Just wait. We're gonna do the Meisner technique over and over and over again.
I see.
The idea is that you're supposed to communicate the dialogue, like the full scene, using only one phrase.
Oh man!
That way, you learn to inflect, and you learn to use your body language, and you learn to connect to the other actors outside of the dialogue. So we're going to try and do that with our listeners.
Yeah. Buckle up, kids.
That's the phrase we're using.
Buckle up, kids. Buckle up, kids.
We're going to review the whole Match Point movie using just the phrase "buckle up, kids."
I'm excited.
You know, if you try, you win.
Let's plug our junk and get the hell out of here.
Follow us on Twitter at XRatedMovies.
As it was and forever shall be.
Like us on our Facebook page. And leave a comment. I don't think we have any comments on our Facebook page.
If you're listening in and you like what you hear, or you hate what you hear, or if you're meh about it, let us know.
Yeah, just say hi.
Yeah.
The Facebook page is at RatedXMovies.
And you can also shoot us a little email at x.rated.movies@gmail.com.
And is that all our junk?
I think that's all our junk.
Subscribe to us on iTunes.
Oh yeah, and then let us know what you think on there. Rate, review,
subscribe.
Yeah, get us some word of mouth out there. And if you have some friends that you think might like this, then let them know too.
Yeah,
because that's how we spread, like wildfire or gonorrhea. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Play us out, Matt. I can't think of a way to end this.
Join us next week, episode 19, Match Point. Bye.
Bye.